myself, they call me J-O-N to the easy E-N. Know that we undefeated.
We've got a fireside chat with Dr. Lisa Cameron, who's a UK Member of Parliament and Chair of the Crypto and Digital Assets All-Party Parliamentary Group. And at the end of our discussion, we're going to open it up to Q&A. So get your brains ticking. If you've got any questions for Lisa, have a think about what you want to ask her, and we'll get to the audience after our chat. Please welcome Dr. Lisa Cameron to the stage. Lisa, how are you? So nice to have you with us.
Great, thank you so much for having me here. What a fantastic venue you have.
It's beautiful here, isn't it? It's really, really
Amazing.
lovely. Great to be here. Okay, I thought we'd just kick off by talking to you about the Crypto and Digital Assets All-Party Parliamentary Group. For those who don't know about it, just tell us a bit about your aims and your involvement in the group.
Yeah, so the group was set up about 16 months ago now, and the aim is really to upskill ourselves as members of the Parliament and members of the House of Lords, because we're aware that so many people right across the United Kingdom, millions of people are engaged in this sector, but you know, up until the group was established, it hadn't been mentioned as a sector very much in Parliament, and also we hadn't had any debates in the House of Commons. So the aim is to really educate, upskill ourselves, make sure that we're able to have sensible, evidence-based debates in the Parliament, and that we're able to work collaboratively with industry and with government to take forward regulation for the future.
Really, really interesting. And the government actually just this month has set out plans for crypto regulation in the UK. So tell us a bit more about what the aims of that regulation look set to be.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've had a lot of discussions with the Minister, Andrew Griffiths. You know, we've had a lot of changes in government, so I'm praying that we're at a stable place now, and our discussions have been very productive. We've really been looking at the sector as a whole, working together with government, as I said, to raise the understanding in the Parliament, to look at a regulatory framework that can give investors confidence, can also give our constituents support and an educational basis for understanding the sector. And we're looking at given what's happened, in the field of crypto, and particularly with FTX, there's been a bit of a shock wave across, internationally, to be honest, not just across the UK. So we want to look at a practical regulatory framework moving ahead. There's also consultation on digital bank currency, so a CBDC for the UK, which we're very excited about. And as I said, my role has really been to work cross-party in the Commons and the Lords to make sure that we're collaborating with industry, that we understand some of the hurdles that you currently face, and we've been hearing a lot about that, but also about the challenges for the industry and the great opportunities, which I think we really want to highlight to make sure that we have those jobs for the future, and that we can meet Rishi Sunak's vision that the UK becomes a hub of cryptocurrency.
Yeah, you touched upon FTX, and I want to get to that a bit later. But just firstly, what do you think the government needs to do to really support the crypto industry and help with the regulatory framework and everything else that needs to be in place in order for this industry to really thrive in the UK?
Yeah, we've been doing a really important inquiry just now into the challenges faced by industry, and many different organisations have taken part in that inquiry. We know that there's been difficulties with the FCA, and I've highlighted that to the Minister in terms of streamlining the process, because we want good actors to come here to the UK to set up business. And I've actually heard that because of some of the difficulties, the length of process, lack of communication, administrative problems, that some companies who really want to comply have left to go elsewhere. So we don't want to be seeing that. We want to support industry to come to the UK, and we want to work with government and work with the FCA and industry to streamline that process. Bank accounts are another issue that many companies have spoken to me about. So I'm starting to hear about the challenges. It's really important for my inquiry report that you do reach out provide us with some written evidence, and then we can raise these issues. I can only deal with the issues I'm aware of, so part of my being here is really a reach out as well to the sector to make sure you collaborate with the All-Party Parliamentary Group for Cryptocurrency and with Crypto UK in taking this forward.
Yeah, that's brilliant, and I'm sure the audience will be really happy to hear that. So the Bank of England and the Treasury are weighing up plans to use a new digital currency, the so-called Britcoin, by the end of the decade. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on this, and is it the future of money in your view?
Well, I think things are going digital, aren't they? And that's been sped up by COVID-19, that most people have started to use banking online, digital finance. And I think, it's important that there's competition. It's important that there's different elements to the sector, and that people can have confidence, consumers can have confidence that this is backed by, the Bank of England. So I think that that's something that takes it to the next stage. Government's preparing for this. They've opened a consultation. I've actually had a discussion with government about this already, and we're really, really keen, again, to have your feedback as to what this would look at. And they're speaking about the Britcoin, which is exciting. I've also raised the possibility of, a Commonwealth pound, where we could reach out to the whole of the Commonwealth. Yep. So there's lots of potential opportunity, and we really need to collaborate and work together to make sure we take things forward in a what works basis and overcome problems early on.
Yeah, now in the audience, just keep having a think if you've got any questions for Lisa, and we'll get to you guys afterwards. But of course, we've got a lot of crypto and Bitcoin entrepreneurs here, a really exciting new industry, of course, or relatively new. I'm wondering what you think about what the government is actually doing here in the UK to try to attract those entrepreneurs to the UK market specifically.
Yeah, well, that's part of what we're looking at in our inquiry. So what are the challenges that industry have faced in coming to the UK? How do we achieve this vision? How do we streamline where the bumps in the road have been happening and make sure that the UK is a place that attracts business and that doesn't divert business to elsewhere? We've been doing a lot of work as well on international best practice. So we've been looking at what's happening in the EU with MiCA, and speaking in cross-party and government, as to why the UK wouldn't want to be the first mover, so to speak, but obviously capitalise on best practice and then develop a bespoke UK regulatory process and regime, which can hopefully drive innovation, because that's our aim, to drive innovation here, to drive business here. And London, Edinburgh, the UK as a whole is a fantastic place for research, for university developments, for business innovation, and for fintech. And so we have the blocks there for the start of this, and we just need to build the rest. But we need to do it with help from you guys too.
Yeah, and Prime Minister Rishi Sunak is very much an advocate of crypto and blockchain technology, which obviously is very encouraging. So I'm wondering what you think his leadership really means for the future of the industry. Are we going to see big changes, do you think?
Well, I think we're working at pace now that there's stability in government. We're working at pace, and we do feel that there is a time framework. We don't want to be first movers, but we can't be at the tail end either. So we really want to be on the journey with industry and with innovation in the UK and attracting innovation internationally. So I think he has a very positive vision, which can only be a good thing. And we've looked, at this vision as a whole, in a sense, because it's about fintech, yes, but it's about so much more. The more we find out about blockchain, crypto sector, the more we think, my goodness, this has implications for UK aid in terms of streamlining processes to make sure that we reach the most vulnerable, and that we can determine that and make sure that taxpayers' money is utilised properly. It has such a potential for education in terms of our colleges and universities, and I've asked my team to do a map of the UK as to where are the places to be in terms of courses and where obviously are the gaps, because we need to level up for everyone across the United Kingdom in the opportunities. And I really do think that we have the potential to create a great many jobs of the future. And on top of our own all-party parliamentary group, there's been such momentum building in Parliament. We also have a metaverse and Web3 APPG which has started up, and we're working very much together to look at the possibilities and the great potential. And I have to say, it's just such an exciting time.
Yeah, it really, really is. Now, I think you kind of answered my next question a bit when you discussed education and aid, but I mean, it's undeniable that right now we're in a pretty challenging time for the UK economy. We're on the brink of a recession. The government is struggling with balancing the public purse. We're starting to see tax increases and
Did you know something I
new
didn't?
announcement there. No, we're seeing this real fiscal prudence,
Yeah.
real careful planning when it comes to government spending. We've got strikes, the NHS is struggling. And some critics might say, is now really the right time to be focusing on crypto? I'm just wondering what you think about that and why you think this is a good time.
Well, I mean, I think time is of the essence for this industry. The more it develops so fast, MPs and Lords, we're having to keep up to date with things. When we started, our baseline knowledge was very low. It's not the sort of thing that you can just go into a debate and speak about without having some kind of understanding. So at the very start, companies were coming in, speaking about fiat. I was explaining to people that we were not speaking about cars. Yeah. And we've really had to get ourselves up to speed. So I feel we acknowledge that there are problems right across the board in the UK. It doesn't stop the work in these other areas, but innovation drives jobs, it drives our economy, and therefore we can't afford actually to just let this go by the wayside. So it's very, very important that we do spend time working on these issues, and that we obviously look at all of the departments that can be influenced, because digital health is something I'm very interested in as well. And I think innovation and digital technology across the board, the more I learn, the more I think we need to upskill Department of Education, BEIS, we need to be upskilling in terms of health. This really is something that's almost like an industrial revolution, so you're sort of at the pinnacle of that, but much wider, because I'm also learning about tokenization in sports, in art, in culture. So I think, sky's the limit, and I really want to see the UK at the forefront. So yes, it's very important that we spend time doing this, and I'm very committed to continue.
And you mentioned the FTX collapse. Obviously, it's been in the headlines very much in recent months. I'm just wondering what the kind of main takeaways or lessons have been from the UK government and from you guys, and what you can sort of learn from it and take forward to try to make sure that we don't see repeats of these or similar kind of events happen in the UK.
I think that it's made us double down on the importance of a regulatory framework to give investors and consumers confidence, and also redress. I think, though, with FTX and things will come out as time moves on, it's also just underscored corporate governance and why that needs to be in every industry and every sector. And I think possibly some of the issues that we're going to see with FTX, it's not issues that haven't come up previously in the traditional finance sector. So some of it's about corporate governance rather than the crypto sector as a whole. But it does mean that we are just really very focused on consumer protection at the heart of everything we do in our APPG. And we want to say that regulation becomes even more important now with the risks.
So in terms of the cryptocurrency price action that we've seen over the last few years, clearly we had the boom during the pandemic, and last year was very difficult for investors, not just in crypto, but with the tech wreck and a broader sell-off across stock markets and bond markets as well. So clearly it's been a tough time all round for investors, not just within the crypto space. But I'm wondering what your thoughts are on all of the volatility that we've seen, particularly last year, and what we can learn from that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that means that obviously the regulator is cautious. I think it means that Bank of England are, engaging in risk management in terms of the work that's been taken forward in the sector. I think it's really important that what we do is tested out in the sandbox. I think, the consultation's very important. So we are wanting to be, at the forefront, but we are not in such a rush that we're not going to look at due procedures. And I think that there has to be that key balance, and I think that the UK government will take that forward in a very considered way.
Yeah, and part of the sort of major sort of gains that we saw in crypto, particularly during the pandemic, we saw a lot of younger investors start to get involved in crypto, seeing those wins and possibly kind of hopping onto the bandwagon without always necessarily fully understanding the risks. So I guess that highlights really the importance of education. I'm wondering what you think needs to be done to try to make sure that younger investors in particular are really informed about the risks involved with trading an asset class that has been volatile. We've had very strong gains, but there have also been quite sharp losses as well. So just what are your thoughts about kind of the education that needs to be there?
Yeah, I think, as I said, there needs to be a massive education and awareness piece, from government regarding this sector. And actually, we've had 2 debates in the Parliament now since I've started this work, just in a short space of the last few months, and education was a key issue that's been raised. So I know I'm doing my job well because people are raising the issues that are key. And it's just really important, I think, because much of this will be jobs of the future. So it's about education in the sector and coding, about blockchain, but it's also about education in finance. We're not good at educating young people in traditional finance either.
Yep.
So I think, combined with industry, there's great potential and scope to be undertaking programs of education and awareness and helping young people to understand the risks, to understand the opportunities, and to be able to balance those. But there's also the educational and apprenticeship piece that I'm interested in as well, in working collaboratively with industry for those jobs of the future. And I think you have a key place in our economy to be able to drive forward the innovation and the education piece and the apprenticeship piece, so that we are developing, the great entrepreneurs and innovators, and those who are going to give us the test case utilities that we really want to see across the board in the UK in building best practice going forward. And I think we're just very excited about working with you to do that.
Okay, brilliant. And just finally, before we go to the audience for hopefully some Q&A, just looking ahead for the Crypto and Digital Assets All-Party Parliamentary Group, what are some of the key dates that we should be looking out for over the course of the year or the next couple of years?
Yeah, well, actually, over the next few months, we're going to be producing our first inquiry report into the Prime Minister's vision for a cryptocurrency hub and some key recommendations. So look out for that. If you haven't contributed already, please do get in touch with me. We can still take some written evidence at this stage. And when we get our key recommendations, then I want to, over the next year, be looking at international best practice, and we'll have the outcomes, obviously, of the consultations that government are running. Treasury Select Committee are also running an inquiry just now, which is really important that you engage with. So we're really working on all cylinders, and I wouldn't even say it's years and years ahead. We're hoping to produce some outcomes in the next few months that can give us key initial recommendations. Then I want to drill down into the different pillars, looking, at art and culture, looking at sports, looking at research, innovation and education, and also looking at that spoke of international best practice, and to make sure that we have a regulatory regime moving forward that we can speak about in an informed way in the Parliament, and that we can contribute to the work that government's doing to make sure it happens.
Lisa, thank you so much. It's been
Thank
brilliant
you.
to hear from you. Now, I'm wondering if anyone in the audience... Oh, there's a hand up over there.
Few hands.
There's a few hands in the middle, and there's a couple over there. So I think we've got a roaming mic somewhere, so we'll wait for the microphone to come to you, and
Thank
we'll
you.
get to some questions. Oh, where's that voice coming from?
Over here.
Over here.
Oh, yes.
Hello.
Hi.
My name's Sebastian Ewan.
Hi.
I'm a consultant paediatrician. I'm very interested in technologies of the future. Thank you for your presentation. I wonder if you could say a little bit more about your vision for opportunities for blockchain in digital health.
Yeah.
And secondly, I'm a member of the Suicide and Self-Harm APPG. Just wondering how we could join your APPG.
Oh, absolutely. I'll just get in touch with me, and you can link with the APPG. In terms of digital health, it's something I'm really interested in. I also chair the Health All-Party Parliamentary Group in the Parliament. We've been looking at the progress that we can make. I think we did some work with Estonia. They obviously have really empowered members of their community. They're able to have their health records in a digital format. We're also looking at waiting lists and waiting times, and how there can be collaborations between different departments. When I worked in the NHS, which is some time ago now, but it was for a good 20 years, there was really a lack of joined up digitalization at that point in time. So I think there's just great scope, and the blockchain can also ensure that there's transparency, but there's also a kind of joined up approach that's immutable there for the work that we do in health. So there's lots of scope, and I would say please do get in touch with our group, because it's one of the pillars. As I said, the more I've delved into this, I've realized it's not just finance. The more my work seems to expand as time goes on, and health is one of the issues that I think, rather than saying we're not going to work in this sector because we're only focused on health in our NHS, can definitely be compatible with driving innovation and change. Thank you.
Okay, then.
Hi there. I'm a
Okay.
PhD student and a crypto degen. You're talking about the UK being a crypto hub of the future. I can go to Portugal, Germany, Middle East, and taxation is much more lenient, it's more crypto friendly, or I could get a digital nomad visa anywhere across the world in many different countries. And our taxes, the capital gains tax is being reduced to £3,000 over the next 3 years. What are you going to do to make us stay here? Because I don't want to stay in the UK right now. Most people I've spoken to in the hub out there live in Dubai and many other countries. So what can you offer us?
Well, my role, because I'm not a member of the government, is to put those issues to government so they understand that there could be, basically what you're saying is a brain drain from the UK to other jurisdictions if there aren't principles of taxation at least considered in terms of driving innovation to the UK. So my role is to highlight the very issues that you're saying and you're speaking about, and it's important that, alongside some of the issues companies have had with the FCA, opening bank accounts, very basic issues that mean that sometimes companies can feel hurdles are just too great here, we want to go elsewhere. I've also heard of organisations wanting to move to Paris or to Zug, and I spent some time in Zug speaking to them about their regime, and that's why we're also doing the piece on international best practice to see where the UK currently fits and where the gaps are. But certainly I'll pass on your best regards to Jeremy Hunt at Treasury and all that you say and try to get your response.
Thank you. Okay, we've got quite a few more questions. Oh,
Okay.
here we go. In the middle.
So, my name is Akshay. I am from India, and I am an international student over here. My question is regarding if I tell someone about Web3 and blockchain, basically, so they, like whatever they comes into their mind is just Bitcoin, just investing. But there is also more than that. They can see their careers and much more opportunities. Do our country or you guys are undertaking any kind of a program for let them literate and let them aware of this remarkable technology? Because this is why we came to UK. we see our future in Web3 and blockchain, and what support we will get. I want to know from you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that question. And yeah, as I said, when I started the All-Party Parliamentary Group, it became very apparent to me that there was, this technology with Web3 and the metaverse going to be driving innovation and change concurrently, and that it was going to be very much interwoven. So we have a specific all-party parliamentary group now, very much focused on this, because it's such a huge sector. I can't cover everything, and I wanted this to have a specific focus and key drivers. So I can put you in touch with that group if you reach out to me just after the panel today. But we're very much working in collaboration. Actually, my job before coming into Parliament was as a psychologist, and I went to open an amazing new therapy which uses avatars to help people who have major mental illness, schizophrenia, to deal with distressing voices in their head. And this has had such success. So I'm aware that this is going to change our lives, but it also has, as I said, those impacts into a lot of the work we do in other sectors, education, health, etc., criminal justice even as well. So it's very, very important that this is done in a joined up way, and I'll put you in touch with that group so you can have, or they can have your expertise and you can collaborate moving forward. And thank you for wanting to come to the UK. UK, has fantastic universities. We have great innovators. We are one of the world leaders in fintech already. So we just need to get the other parts right. And that's what we're working on to drive forward. So we do want to keep you here, or at least have, your specialism and your expertise as part of our group moving forward. Thank you.
Yes, hi. My name is Patrick. I'm a proud Hexaskin. Just a quick question regarding central bank.
Hello. Oh, I see you with
Just
your
regarding
hat.
central bank digital currencies as programmable money, do you see any conflict between CBDCs and cryptocurrencies in terms of not being able to have some sort of preordained sort of set of rules, how you spend your money, how much I travel, and privacy as well? Do you see any conflict between?
I think there are going to be issues, of course, and those have been raised already in the Parliament, round about data protection, round about privacy in relation to people's records, etc. Someone asked me this last week, actually, would a CBDC mean that there wouldn't be room for other types of digital currencies? And I don't think so. I think my sense of what's happening is that innovation and development is at a faster pace than we are in terms of what's happening. So we're kind of keeping up, and that where there's use case examples, people will navigate to those, and those companies will be successful. I think a CBDC is government's acknowledgement that we need to put these building blocks in place, and also to champion this sector, but that it should underpin and harness all of the other innovation work rather than stymie it, if that makes sense.
Okay, next question.
Hi, Lisa. Hashley here, London business owner. Over here.
See you, Joe.
Oh, there you are.
Hi. Just a quick one. Is there international cooperation that you're dealing with other countries in terms of regulation? Namely, say, the US, because they seem to be moving at speed, and there seems to be a sort of dispute between who's regulating what. And I guess only just this weekend, the chairman of the SEC seemed to be intimating that Bitcoin will be regulated separately as a commodity aside from the rest of crypto. And he seems to be getting quite aggressive in terms of phrases as unregistered securities, etc.
Well, part of the work that we're doing this year is to look at international interoperability, and I think there's going to obviously have to be higher level discussions, G20, etc., looking at these issues, because this is an international issue as much as it is for the UK. But we want to put in place something bespoke here that sets us apart and means that we drive innovation and jobs to the UK. But within that, obviously, there's a sort of government leaders worldwide looking at these issues. In terms of the work of of my group, yes, we're looking at that. I've been out to Zug to speak to the Swiss representatives from there and about their journey of education and how they got to where they are. I'm going out to Paris, to Banque de France next month to find out more about MICA. I've then later in the year going to be in the US. So yes, obviously I have to be in Parliament most of the time. So most of the the work that we're doing on that is within recesses, etc. But it's very much a key component to the work that we see moving ahead, and we want to keep abreast of change internationally to make sure that where we are positioning ourselves is compatible. But there's also going to be, I think, as you said, a lot of collaboration across the board, because the issues with FTX, for instance, didn't just affect the US, affected Canada, affected lots of other jurisdictions as well. I had a discussion with representatives from the Japanese embassy just last week about this, and they've been able to refund some of the money that was lost to some of their consumers. So those types of issues greatly interest us because, as I said, we want to put consumers at the heart of the work we're doing, and it's very, very important we learn from international best practice.
Okay, we've got time for probably 2 or 3 more questions.
Yes, hi. Right here.
Oh, hello.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Phil. I'm a YouTuber. Also, my real job is I work in NHS. I'm a physiotherapist.
Great.
So if anybody have a low back pain, let me know.
I'll come and see you in the break.
There we go. I have a question, very simple. Do you own any cryptocurrency? And if yes, which one? Thanks.
Well, people ask me that a lot, and it was a decision that we took at the start of my chairing the group, that whilst I would engage in sessions where we learned about how the sector worked and how cryptocurrency operates, that it was better for me to be objective and not to be an investor, because if I become an investor, so to speak, in cryptocurrency, then when I'm going to speak to government about the work of the All-Party Parliamentary Group, people can quite rightly levy at me, well, you have a conflict of interest in that, so to speak. So, so for the time being, no, I'm not recommending any particular cryptocurrency. And I do feel that it's important, given the media scrutiny that's particularly on this industry at this point in time, that we sit back in an objective way and are able to look at the advantages and some of the real difficulties in the industry very objectively without having any conflict of interest at this stage.
Any more questions? Yes, a few more hands up. Who's
Hello.
got them?
Hi.
Hi, my name is Oscar. I'm a co-founder at UFI. We basically developing a platform which is guiding individuals to make better financial decisions. It's all based around helping them to invest and manage their money wiser.
Great.
The question I'd like to ask you is basically, we are a company based in the UK, and we were interested in what kind of government incentives you would provide to help develop that, because you said there's a lot of, obviously, problems with people's financial education, and a lot of people are struggling to make the right decisions. So what kind of incentives, or what is currently being done by the Parliament to kind of help those companies and people?
To educate. I mean, I think that's going to be really key, and I think I'm not going to preempt any of the outcomes to my inquiry report, but education and support for education is going to be very crucial moving forward, and I see that as being something that I particularly want to highlight as a recommendation potentially to government. But we have to gather up all of our evidence and make sure that that's in line with the evidence we've received. But I do think you've really hit the nail on the head there, and I don't actually think we're even very good at teaching people about traditional finance either in the UK. You know, I want to see that no matter where you are brought up in the UK, you can be an innovator, you can be an entrepreneur, and that's supported. And, you know, just now when we go to careers, and my daughter's, you know, she's doing her exams just next year, they teach a lot of people in the UK to become employees. I want to see us also teaching people to become employers, to learn about driving business, to learn about you know, establishing and innovating. And I think the work that you're going to be doing is very key in terms of helping people with financial literacy, but also giving them those opportunities that I don't think we give to everybody to equal degree just now. And I do think that this industry, given access to finance, could be much wider, could enable many, many people who are not included in traditional finance currently. So I think there's scope for better inclusion and diversity as well. And that's one of the key things that we want to help you to deliver.
Okay, I think we've got time for one final question. Oh,
Hi, thank you.
Here he is.
Thank you.
My name's Liam. I'm here with Andrea. We're representing Cadex DAO, building financial services on the Kadena blockchain. You spoke briefly about the importance of competition in the space, so I just wanted to ask you, can you give some insights for the regulatory framework for non-governmental asset-backed stablecoins?
Well, I mean, my goodness, you're going to be like preempting the government's consultation already. So I think competition's important because, you know, it drives consumer choice. It also drives basically the importance of people being able to have cost-effective options available to them. So I see this sector as being, as I said, not just an innovator. It can be a sector of diversity and inclusion, but also it can be a sector that makes sure that there's faster payments for people, that people are involved in payments, and that, you know, when they're paying for financial transactions, that the competition element can really harness that to make it open to a greater degree of people than currently. I think the traditional finance sector can you know, can be a bit exclusive for many people, particularly in developing countries, I would say. So it takes me on to the issues that I'm saying. This is not, it's driven by finance currently, our discussions, but it's wider than that. And we in the Parliament, we really want to be looking at the issues that you're bringing to us and such as you've raised today, and speak to me in the break about it, and I'll try to give you a more detailed response. But please do also speak to us about the work you're doing in humanitarian aid. Speak to me about the work in health. We've had some people speak to me about health. Speak to me about science and technology and education, because these are just so key to our future as a UK, and your sector is going to be a very formidable component of that. So competition is important, and I very much believe in that. But if you have a good product and if you have something that has a use case in any of those particular sectors that we've discussed, then I think that, you know, that will be successful. And we want to harness that here wherever possible. So we've got our work cut out, as you can see. I don't have answers to everything as yet because we're on a journey, but I am and I'm very, very willing to work with you, to engage with you moving forward. And I would say please do engage with the All-Party Parliamentary Group for Cryptocurrency and Digital Assets and with Crypto UK, and together we can make sure that we do our very best to keep and make sure that the UK is on the map when it comes to cryptocurrency and blockchain moving forward.
Lisa, thank you so, so much. It's been wonderful to share the stage for you, and also thank you so much for all the questions. I'm sorry we didn't have time to get to all of them, but Lisa's going to be around for a little bit this afternoon, so you can sort of grab her and have a little conversation. Yeah, and I love the way that you just were saying how, you know, you're as much here so that you can speak to everyone in the audience as much as they are to hear from you. And I think it was also excellent of you to just mention the fact that your inbox is so open and you want to hear from lots of people. So you can find Lisa's email on the government website. So do get in touch, because we want to try and get as much communication between businesses and government as possible, so there's maximum information.
Yeah, because I just want to say before I finish that part of the reason for me coming to these events and being so assiduous at engaging with you is
Yeah.
exactly what you've said. This is a two-way dialogue. We want to learn from you. We want to learn about the issues and the problems to overcome those, but we also want to collaborate and work together for a successful UK moving forward.
Okay, so let's give a massive round of applause for Dr. Lisa Cameron.
Thank you.